in, guys. We'll get started here in just a second. Let's see. Today's June 2nd already. So if you don't have half your goals down, you better get busy because you don't have much left before half the year's gone. Coming up on the longest days of the year, too. So there's no excuse of it getting dark early if you got outside activities. Good to see everybody. I don't have a lot today. We do have just a couple of reminders of our breakfast networking at the Shack. That'd be on, what is that, Jim? Is that the 11th, I believe, this month? You know?
Hold on a second. Let me see if I got that on my calendar.
Let me look here.
The third, it's the second Tuesday?
Yes.
That would be the 13th, it looks like.
Okay, 13th then. Yeah, I think they had to correct it because I read the 11th this morning. I didn't look at my calendar. Okay, 13th. So mark your calendars for that. And then let's see here. On our main event on, let's see, June the 20th this month, we're going to have Matt Reed, it's Grace's husband, is going to talk about siding and roofing, and he's going to be at the early session there. So if you have anything you're working on, this would be a good time to bring your questions and find out about that. Then we have Pat Heisserer, it's Jim's wife, our past president of the STLREIA. She's going to be talking about the property assessment appeals process. So if I don't know if you're like some of us and your taxes have gone pretty much sky high recently because of all the value increases. Your taxes are going up. So this is a good process. There is a way you could actually potentially reduce them. And Pat's really good at that. She's going to be talking about that. So mark your calendars. That's at the Moolah Shrine Center in the Oasis room. We're in the lower level. What is that? 12545 Fifi Road. So, and if you have any questions or ever want to know anything more about that, any details, of course, you can always go to the website, STLREIA.com. So I think that's about all I have today. Okay. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share? Well, let's get Laura first here. Sorry about that. I'll let Laura do her disclaimer and then we'll start. So go.
All righty. Good morning and welcome, everyone. First, I'd like to do a bit of housekeeping. Feel free to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Please be mindful of everyone else by muting yourself while others are speaking. You're welcome to put any contact information that you'd like to into the chat. We meet here to share deals, look for deals and solutions we have in need with our real estate. We are not your financial advisors, attorney, or accountants. We do not endorse or recommend any specific solutions or contractors here. You're advised to do your own due diligence to your own satisfaction before you invest. The first Friday of each month is normally Ask the Attorney with Miss Catherine Davis. I know sometimes it changes as to her schedule. Our meetings are typically recorded, so only share what you want others to know.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, would anybody like to get us started off today? Anybody have anything they want to buy or sell or question, anything? I see a lot of smiling faces. Good to see everybody. Jim Choik's getting ready to go to Japan. I think his mind is on traveling right now. He's just telling us about that. Amber, you sold a house with owner financing. You want to tell us anything about that on what that process was for you?
Sure. So I'll just start by saying a lot of help from this group to understand the different strategies. I know we talk about it all the time, but there really are more than one type of strategy out there that is applicable to a buyer. I think Jim says, or John says all the time, the wanters, there's always somebody out there who wants your property. You just have to find the right person. So I changed my strategy of how I was trying to market it with the help of several people in this group, just different things, just different notes that they had given me of how to market it on Craigslist and different things, how to what to say on there. But yeah, I am officially a bank, owner financing a property. And I say that the ink is not dry yet on it, so we still need to finish the signatures. But I do have 2 potential buyers, and I should have hopefully by the end of this call, one of them signing the paperwork today. But yeah, it's a great feeling to still sell the property. It's a win-win. I'll say it that way. I feel like it's a win. It's a win for me that I'm still selling my property. It's a win for the other person who may not have been able to afford the property outright, but because it's owner financing, they can make those little payments every month that will add up to the payment in full. So yeah, to me, it's always finding out what works for them, listen to the buyer and how can they afford the property that you potentially want to sell to them. So goodness for me, I guess.
Thank you, Amber. I personally love that owner financing because that just gives you payments down the road for a long time without a lot of maintenance. I mean, it doesn't always work perfect. I mean, I've had some that didn't work as good as I would have liked for them to, but overall, I think it's a good way to go because it just takes you, there's nothing wrong with being a landlord, but as you know, there's other things that go with it. So
yeah, and so again, diversifying. This is my first one, owner financing. So never stick to one way of doing business. Like you just mentioned, I do have multiple properties, but this is my first owner finance property. So I'm interested, and I will say also some of the things that I learned as a landlord, I put in the contract. I'm not going to continue to harass you month after month for my money. No, I put in the contract. If I will do my due diligence to reach out to you, I will send a certified letter. But if you don't call, I'm nullifying the contract and it's over for you. So, I mean, just different things that you may not know as a first-time landlord of working with renters of what to put in a contract. But since I've been a landlord for a while, just different things that I've picked up over this course of this experience, I put in this contract to make sure it works out in my benefit. I put in in here as well, if I do have to take you to court for whatever reason, if I choose to, most likely I won't, but if I do have to take you to court, you're paying for it because I don't want to. But if you owe me money and a judgment is granted in my favor, you're going to pay for the lawyer costs. Just different things like that, as landlords, we may think we have to come out of pocket, but if this person signs the contract and they want to stick to those terms, then they're also going to pay, they're going to live to those. I'm going to hold them to those terms later on. So just my 2 cents.
thank you. Very, very good tips there. And I know you're really good at house hacking too. And we want to get you to tell us some more of those little tips and tricks that you have on there. They're not really tricks. They're just things you learn along the way. And I think you brought up some really good points. I know that some similar to what we've gone through. Also, you learn things as your landlord that you do put in your contracts. And, even being a landlord, there's things that, renters teach you a lot. But so do so do buyers. I'll tell you, I've had some of the best buyers doing owner financing, and I've had some that were not the best also. But I think the percentages are pretty high because you're getting somebody that actually wants to own the home. They're not going to call you when the pipe breaks. They're going to fix it. So there's just a lot of things. One thing I do want to say though on that is just you do want to keep your own insurance, because I've had 2 instances where things went wrong with the insurance. One time I dropped it after 3 years. That was a big mistake because the guy I was selling it to rented it to somebody else. He evicted somebody. They burned the place down. I still had some payments. There's stuff going on. I won't get into all them stories, but just the insurance is always important. We had another situation where there was a gap in there for just about a week, or maybe actually it wasn't even a week, but that doesn't matter because that's always when things go wrong, is that one little window. So just things, but that's always good. So thank you.
I also put that in there too about keep the insurance, but any other fees that come about, that is their responsibility. So yeah, I wouldn't have known that originally doing something like this, but over the course of the experience, that's something that I know. I'm not going to trust you to keep insurance. Not on a property that is still in my name. Burn it down. I mean, hopefully not, but I have coverage to cover myself. in the event something does happen. So.
And one thing else on the insurance right there as well is something I recently did actually within the last month is what I started doing is I require them to pay the taxes and insurance, but I also require them to pay my insurance in addition to theirs. I just tacked on the $1,100 right onto the principal balance. And as you know, with the owner financing, we don't transfer the deeds until satisfied. So, I mean, if they choose to pay it up front, which, you know, I'll tell you honestly, it's just the same thing with the taxes. About 50% of them pay them on time like they should, and about 50% don't. And one of the things I used to do with the taxes is I'd put it on every month and put the penalty on there like 10% like the counties do. That's a nightmare as far as bookkeeping goes though. So what I do now is when I get my bills, or as soon as I get my bill, I tack it right on their principal. And they're responsible for it. And about half of them will pay you, and half of them will just let it go till they get around to it. But it doesn't make any difference because because of the way it's set up, they gotta satisfy me before we transfer them. So, just a couple things. Insurance is huge, though. Don't forget your insurance. So, thanks for sharing that, Amber. That's very helpful. That's some good stuff, and I know the groups helped me a lot too. Same as you with staying in touch and the networking. So, appreciate it. All right. Does anybody else have anything? I see we got, let's see what we got here. Derrick, he's trying to get his foot in the door. You feel free to unmute if you'd like to say anything, but it's you're looking to get your first deal. You're at the right place. Any ideas? Yeah. Talk to people that have places for sale that are out doing it. There's a lot of different strategies out there. You'll find a lot of them. There's people that bring stuff here for, that they have available also. So yeah, you're in a good place here, Derrick.
Thank you.
You have anything particular you're looking for, Derrick?
Yeah, I am a real estate investor, and I'm doing wholesale deals. I started off early. I thought I was on the right path, but every time I would get close to a deal, the client would change their mind or back out. I even tried to work with them and lowering the deal and see if they would get a better option. So far, it hasn't been working out the way I planned it. So my thing is I can meet some good cash buyers that would like to purchase anything in St. Louis area or wherever. I'm willing to work with you.
Well, this is a good place to bring your deals. If you get something under contract, it sounds like you're looking at wholesale deals right now, which is good. I think we should always remain wholesalers myself our whole lives, because you're always going to run into stuff that may not fit what you want your portfolio, but this is a good place. Bring your deals here. You're welcome to come every Friday and share that. If there's any certain area that you're looking at, it's always good to share that, because the more specific you get, the better off you'll be. And that's just what I found over the years. Any kind of contact information you'd like to put in there, Derrick, feel free to say it verbally and put it in the chat, whatever you'd like to share. Because we do typically have quite a few people that watch the replays. And so that's why I always encourage you to say it verbally as well as put it in the chat. And I encourage you to put it in the chat too, because I don't always write down stuff the right way that I hear it, because my brain doesn't always, I'm not a good multitasker, and I end up doing 2 or 3 things sometimes and not getting it right. So if you, if you'd like to put in, however you want somebody to get a hold of you, phone number, if you like phone calls and text, usually you just want to say that or put that in there, and email address is always good too. So anything you'd like to share, and then what you're bringing. If you focus in a certain area, Derrick, that's always good. I always encourage you to share that too, because we have a lot of people in different group, that are come to our group for different areas. So,
Okay, awesome.
So welcome, and it's good to see you here. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Derrick, I'd love to connect with you. I'm trying to grow my portfolio. So let's connect and see if we can work together. And piggybacking off of Amber's, I'm super happy for her. I talked to her about this deal, and it wasn't, I wasn't the right buyer for it. So, but looking for similar deals as always. So if anybody is in that position like Amber is and interested in becoming the bank, I'd love to pay the bill and be the bankie and work with you. So I had a great week connecting with a lot of people from the group. I talked with Dave Soto on finding contractors in Southeast Missouri. So someone asked me to do a roof in the boot heel, and I thought, well, shoot, I don't know about that, but I called Dave, and so anyway, just connecting with people in this group has been great this week for me for business, and I always appreciate it. Yeah, but if anybody has deals, cash buyer, creative buyer, please add me to your list. My email is upwardprops@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat. And then I guess, I don't know, I have so many emails, but they're for different businesses and things. So if anyone needs roofing, siding, gutters, gutter guards, we can connect on that too. And I'll just put one email in there just to keep things simple. I get them all on my phone. So yeah, well, happy Friday, everybody.
I will send you an email when I can.
Thanks, Derrick.
No problem.
Yeah,
If
thank
you guys, oh, sorry to interrupt. Mr. Lee, thank you guys for this. I'm new to this group. My name's Logan, and I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm new to this sort of community. I'm actually working for a hospitality group in Turks and Caicos. We're working on a resort as well as villas down here. So this is sort of a different real estate opportunity, I guess you could say, than what I'm typically used to as an investor myself. But yeah, it's been a very interesting journey. I work more towards the marketing side, and if anyone's interested in that, I'd be glad to share my information and a little bit about what we have to offer here. I'm glad to answer any questions as well. So thank you guys for this.
you. Thank you, Logan. Where did you say you are?
So I currently reside in Greenwich, Connecticut, but my project is based out of North Caicos, Turks and Caicos Islands. So yeah, it's a very overseas, it's a very different atmosphere and environment for investing. I love the journey so far. It's been a lot of fun.
I've been,
That's
I've been
great.
down
Are
in
you-
Salt. I've been down in Salt Key and Provinciale scuba diving before.
Really, yeah, it's beautiful there. The issue with Provo now is I believe it's become a little too oversaturated.
Yeah.
1 acre lots are selling for 4 to 6 million now, and it's really there's rush hour traffic down there now. And North Caicos, our island, is twice the size of the main island, with imminent potential. We're actually we're right next to the Parakeet Hotel, which is run by Como Hospitality Group, and there's a lot of room here for North Caicos to develop just like the main island, and a lot of potential. So any questions, I'd be glad to help answer them the best of my ability. I work more towards the marketing side. So whether it's musicians, athletes, or any other talented individuals, I try and line up how they'll be involved when our development concludes.
Well, John, you've always wanted to own your own island.
Yes, I still do. Yes. The whole island, though, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Now, Logan, you mainly, you said you're in marketing. Are you selling the lots? Are you doing what type of work do you actually do there? I was just kind of
Yes. So right before the 2008 crisis, our contractor and landowner, Del Pier Giovanni, who is the main contractor for Parakeet, he puts $25 million worth of investment into a 3-mile concrete marina, C-block marina, right aside from Parakeet on North Caicos. Exactly, it's called Sandy Point Marina. It's right there on the tip next to Parakeet. And they had plans to sell the lots and build out, villas and hotels and other amenities. But of course, when the crisis hit, no one was buying the land. And that sort of gave our group the opportunity to come in. I'd say around 5 to 6 years ago, my father, believe it or not, was introduced to this project through the actor Bruce Willis, as he had a $45 million home over on Parakeet, which recently sold. So he is no longer in Turks, but through him, we've been introduced to this group and this project. And right now we have 6 to 7 villas that are ready to begin construction. We have our beachfront restaurant and our sales office opening in a month. And the beachfront restaurant will be run by our partner, our celebrity chef, Todd English. And then with the hotel financing, we're working on that. Hopefully we can close soon, because one of the hotels that we're looking at purchasing the land and then rebuilding. It's called the Royal Reef. It's a three 5-story hotel unit alongside 63 staff housing unit as well, 19-acre beachfront lot. So we have a 1-year turnaround and we're ready to go. So yeah, it's a very exciting time. Yeah.
That's great, Logan. Thank you. Do you have some contact information you would like to share with us for anybody that would like to work?
Absolutely. Yes, I'd be glad to share all the information below and really answer any questions you might have and pass you along to the partners if you have any interest in investing or purchasing land as well. So thank you guys once again. I'm glad to be here and thank you for giving me the time to talk.
Thank you. Yeah, in addition to putting it in the chat, if you don't mind saying it verbally too, so anybody watching the replay could you jot that down also? That'd be very helpful.
Absolutely. So my email is it can be found at Logan Carino, so LOGANCARINO, and then the number 16 at gmail.com. Our website is sandypointlife.com, and my phone number, I can be reached personally by the cell 203-326-1179. So once again, any questions, I'd be glad to answer them and tell you more about what we're working on over here.
Thank you. Appreciate that. If you don't mind putting it in the chat too, that'd be great too. So thanks. So Jim, you might have another place to stay when you go down there for your scuba diving, it sounds like.
It sounds like a little bit more than I can afford right now, but I figure if Scott does a few more gutter guards, he can probably buy something and I'll just rent a room from him.
Hey, you could take your plane down there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Welcome-
sorry,
welcome to partnerships, Jim.
just to add, what's so great about our project here is once again, we have the marina, we have the roads completely paved and it's been just sitting there, but we also have a 7,000-foot runway. It's already pre-built. So we've been also working towards the private sector of the airport too, as government are trying to open up domestic flights by the end of this year. So there's a lot of future phases that could possibly be involved later down the line, and land is cheap now. So I guess it can be pretty convincing for certain investors and groups.
Jim, maybe you could set up a plane tour instead of a bus tour that we've been looking at. That might be a
Yeah,
another,
my plane's not quite that big enough. But, yeah, okay, we'll see.
okay. Keep that in mind. That'll be something maybe for the fall.
Yeah.
So, all right, good conversation. Anybody have anything they'd like to sell today? Anybody bring anything that they're working on for sale? Any or anybody looking to buy anything? Is everybody ready for summer? Or is everybody just ready for lunch? Well, Carrie, I see you up there. And what's going on with the banking industry? How are rates this week, or any new news, any inside tips that you'd like to share with us today?
Oh, actually, hi guys. Actually, rates are, we're kind of thinking that this last one, we were a little iffy it was going to raise or not. Obviously it did. I'd like to say, people are not buying anything, but unfortunately people are still spending money. I think it's going to kind of equalize out. I think the Feds are going to kind of give it a second, let people get sticker shocked and try to work out the balloons that they have come and due on their investment properties, and making sure that, people, our economy, we're not going to lose a lot. Banks aren't going to take back a lot, and kind of make sure that people can still obtain and sustain their properties. It's, in the banks, obviously we stress for interest rates and those types of things with income and debt to income and cash flow and things like that. So that's really huge right now, is making sure in the event that our borrowers are, the rates go up significantly, that they can still cash flow and carry the loan. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. And but like I said, I don't think that it is happening as fast as the Feds wanted it to. Like I said, people are still buying, and we're just going to have to see. I think it's going to taper off here towards the end of the year. Beginning of next year might, I think people are going to be used to the rates when people say 8 to 10%, and they don't have this look of horror on their face anymore. It's going to kind of get people in that line. So that's what's happening with me. Everybody's still looking for investment property. Everybody's still refinancing. And I say, if you're looking for something now, the interest rate's not where you want it, it's going to be fine. There's going to be opportunity for refinance when the rates stabilize and people, kind of get used to it. So, but yeah, let me know if there's anybody out there that needs anything in terms of financing or creative financing. Let me know. I'd be happy to help.
And thank you, Carrie. Would you like to share your contact information with us, please? I know you have before, but there are some new people that we typically have. So if you don't mind verbally saying it and then
Sure.
putting it in the chat also.
Okay. Again, I'm Carrie Curley. I'm with New Frontier Bank. We are a local bank here in St. Charles County, providing financing to small and medium-sized businesses. We do commercial real estate, all types of loans for businesses, SBA loans, 7A, 504, different kinds of loans. If you're interested, I'd be happy to discuss with you. My phone number is 636-940-8740. And my cell phone number is 314-220-4227. Look forward to talking to you. Let me know. I'll put this in the chat. Thanks.
Thank you.
Howdy, I'd just like to point out for you donut eaters that it's free donut day. I think you get one free donut at Krispy Kreme and one at the other place, I forget, but I think they want you to buy a beverage, Dunkin' Donuts, whatever. And I think I just saw an ad from Krispy Kreme for $2 for an original glazed dozen, if you're interested in that. Also to back up, I don't see Gene this week. Last week I had asked about a lien waiver, and I ran into a bunch of walls. I think Gene had sent me to a web page on the administration part of the Secretary of State or with the state. But when I got there, it was for something that the state does. It had their logo up at the top, and it also was designed for a subcontractor giving a lien waiver to a contractor. So it didn't exactly fit. I had called the Secretary of State office, and the lady didn't know what the heck a lien waiver was. When I said it was in the city, she said, call the city. I called the city and got an answering machine the first time, but I wasn't happy, so I called a different office. I called the building department. The lady there didn't know what a lien waiver was. So I go back and forth. And of course, both, I think she recommended, well, just Google it. It's like, well, yeah, fine. So I think I called Kathy up. She was in the office, and she said, no, we don't have a lien waiver. Talk to Chris on Tuesday. So I talked to Chris on Tuesday. He said, no, we don't normally do a lot of paperwork with contractors. So he didn't have a lien waiver. I called, and I think going back to Friday, I called the Secretary of State's office again, and the lady sent me to the same webpage that Gene had sent me to. So I figured I'm getting nowhere. So I just took the PDF that was on the Secretary of State or the administrative group, and I figured, well, I could copy it, and I got rid of the state logo, although it might have been wiser to leave it there. Somebody sees that and they may think, oh, you're it's more legal or carry more weight. But I deleted that and I changed to the subcontractor to contractor and contractor to owner, so that it was for the contractor giving a lien waiver to the owner. I had to change a few other words because it carried forth in the other three parts of the contract, which was an acknowledgement, a release, and a representation. So I've got that, and hopefully I'll resolve my problem today with getting a lien waiver signed by a contractor, and hopefully it'll be straight where it doesn't sound goofy, because I think I said last time the lien waiver the contractor sent me made it sound like he was only providing a lien waiver up to the date they did the work, whereas my understanding, and Kathy kind of verified it, that lien waivers can be filed, or liens can be filed up to 6 months after a project is done. In Missouri, I think they've got a statute of limitations or something akin to a 6-month statute of limitations, so that if, like I said, the lien waiver I got sent said they only cover the lien waiver up to the date of the project, that means I'm still open for at least 6 months, according to what the state guidelines seem to go by. So I don't know, maybe I could send this to Chris and see if he likes it, and then he can have it for other people, and or I can send it to somebody else and see if they're interested in this. But I guess it might be better to have Chris or somebody else okay it first. But I didn't really change any of the lingo other than the subcontractor and contractor names on it. So it should be good if the state uses it. So for what it's worth.
Thank you, Bruce, for sharing that. I know you were working on that last week, and maybe you could let us know what the outcome will be. This sounds like a whole journey in itself. So,
well, this is like the third iteration of it, because they sent me a contract and it sounded goofy. And I said, well, it was goofy in the first place because they had the wrong address and they didn't spell my name right. So they fixed my name and fixed the address, but it still sounded like they were limiting their liability only to up to the date they did the work, not afterwards. So yeah. And so he just called me back last night and left a message saying, oh, okay, whatever lien waiver you've got is fine. So it's like, I guess I'll see how it goes.
well, maybe you'll just have to bring your own from now on once you get that all the way you'd like it. So just let us know about that. That's good to know. All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share with us today? Carrie's got to run. Bye, Carrie. She's always really nice to come here and help us find out what's going on with the banking industry. A lot of changes. It's good to see. Well, I don't know if it's good to see. It depends on where what you're doing, but it's good to see the rates maybe going up. I personally like that, because I remember when we first started, there was good borrowers back in the day paying 15%, 18% on some of that. So things have changed quite a bit. I think we all got used to those really low rates, which that could be a thing of the past. I don't know. We'll see. It makes it good for a lot of us, though, looking for deals, because a lot of people, they sell at a discount. And I know the price ranges have changed in a lot of places around the country. We've got one of the best places right here for our properties, because the nice houses in the good neighborhoods still maybe only cost us, $300,000 to maybe $600,000-700,000 here, where some of the other areas in the country that I'm familiar with, they might be like $1.5 million for a similar house in a similar neighborhood. Well, the difference is if you have 2 or 3% higher that you're paying on a mortgage payment, that can make all the difference on your borrower. And I personally know people right now in some of the other groups that I'm in that are having a hard time selling those houses, 900 to maybe 1.4 million. They're having a tough time selling those. And it just puts a different category of buyers there. So we're very fortunate to live in this part of the country. And I know we have a lot of people tune in from other parts, a lot of people that invest in St. Louis and, the Midwest, and even down to Texas, Florida. So there's just a lot of differences going on with the rates, and it makes all the difference for us. So does anybody have any deals they want to present for us? We've been kind of quiet on deals the last couple of weeks, which I guess that's good. I know I think what Carrie said was what I see too. People are kind of sitting on the sidelines, kind of waiting to see what's happening. And it is a good time to do things though, like owner financing and things like that, because there's still people that we still have wanters and non-wanters, and they're out there everywhere. We got Denise Johnson. She just looks like she shared a lien waiver. Bruce, I don't know if you checked that one out, but there's a link in the chat. Thank you, Denise. There's Jim Heisserer up there, I see. How you doing today, Jim? We just were talking earlier. I believe your wife is going to be talking at our main meeting on June the 20th. If that's right.
Yes. She's looking forward to that, and I haven't found anybody better than my wife knows how to do that. She's a go-getter now. It's a little bit tougher now in St. Louis County. I don't know about the city, but as to the hoops they're making you go through, but we're doing the best we can. And over the years, we have saved quite a bit of money by contesting our tax assessments. And every one of ours, I think, has gone up, and some significantly. The good is your properties are worth more. The bad is you got to pay more taxes if you don't do anything, you know?
Hey, Jim, I asked the question maybe a couple of weeks ago. What is a reasonable increase? I mean, I think somebody being facetious said no increase is reasonable, but I think maybe $20, $50, I don't know. But what is a reasonable increase for your property tax?
Well, you know, my wife deals with this much closer than I do, but you know, I'm thinking, I mean, and I'm shooting from the hip here because she really has a better numbers than me on this, but maybe 10%, but I could be off on that. We're seeing some, you know, houses that are, you know, a couple $100,000 houses going up 50,000, you know, in assessment, which is probably true, but then you got to look at your property relative to the other ones. And one of the things that she'll talk about is how you get it listed, whether it's fair. I think there's like fair, medium, and I don't know what the other one is. Again, yeah, I am not the person that really answers those questions. She will. But how you have that identified with the county has more to do with how they will look at your property, you know. And she goes into the properties, takes pictures. You know, quite often it's smarter not to fix them up right before the assessment, but sometimes you just have to. But, you know, if you got an older kitchen, cracks in the foundation walls of your basements, older kitchens and bathrooms, siding that has issues, old windows is another one. You know, got old aluminum windows that are, you know, 40 years, 50 years old compared to newer vinyl ones. Those all are taken into account. And then being a realtor, she can get on the MLS and look at the other ones too, easier, that the county is utilizing to try to prove their case what your, you know, unit should go up in value. But being able to access that MLS, that does help out. But she'll talk about all these things coming up. And what's that next date? We ought to mention that, John, on the Tuesday night meeting coming up.
Yes, that's Tuesday is the 20th. Let me see here. Yeah, June the 20th. And that's at the Moolah Shrine Center over on Fifi here. It's at 12545 Fifi Road. And the Moolah Shrine Center, we're in the Oasis room, which is in the lower level. So one little tip I can give you is I like to park around back. Because you can park up front at the main entrance, which is fine, and then take the elevator down, which, a lot of people do. And then actually you may like it because then they have the dance people upstairs. There's a few hundred people that they have the ballroom dancing I know we do actually have a couple members that go up there and join them after our meetings. Because I don't know what time they go to, but yeah, if you want to park around the back though and just walk in the door, you're right on our level there. So that's the doors open at 6:30 and our meeting will start at 7 o'clock. On the early session, we are going to have Matt Reed, and he'll be talking about siding, windows, and roofing. He's a contractor, so anything that you may be working on or you want to talk about that. And Grace, one of our board members, that's her husband, so been with us for a while. So, and she's the one actually that heads up the breakfast on Tuesday. Let's see, the second Tuesday of each month. And this, what did we say this month was
I thought it was the 13th, wasn't it?
13th. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And one other thing I was going to say, even if you don't live or have properties rather in St. Louis County, some of the things that my wife will be talking about can be, I would think, applicable to your area, wherever you're living at. If you get, it's like the old saying, if you get one thing out of it, it can be worth the time you listen to it, and it's free in this case. So.
Yeah, Jim, I agree. I was just going to say, no one tells you this when you buy a house about any of this, how to do anything with property taxes. But I will say, and I have a property in Central West End that was tax abated, and I can give you a whole speech on tax abatements, and it was great. I did not know anything. I paid at the time 10% of the actual taxes and it stays with the house for 10 years, I believe. So even if you switch the owners, that owner takes on the new tax abatement. So once that tax abatement was up, that's when I paid attention to property taxes. But I did successfully beat a tax increase on that property. I had the guy come out but I'm very intrigued to see what your wife has to say, because I have other properties that are increasing, but firsthand, I will say I have won the legal battle or it's not even legal, but I have won the battle of a tax assessment.
Well, we've won some and we've lost some, but when you have a number of them going in, maybe half or more of ours, we were able to reduce the amount. And sometimes it was a split, like, they want to go up X amount of percent and we got it halfway up. Well, you still save that money. So when you look at the time and energy it is to investigate the similar properties that they're trying to say is equal to yours versus the ones that you come up with, it all comes into play. You're still making quite a bit per hour by spending the time to try to get those renegotiated. So just
I agree.
Another thing,
Yeah, in my case, I want to say the property tax may have doubled, but again, it was in Central West End, and if you know that area, one block over is Washington. Well, those are $500,000, $600,000 houses, and so they were trying to compare my house to those, and essentially, and the inspector, I guess, said this. What they were trying to do, what the city was trying to do, was make it a even playing field. Because I guess maybe those owners on Washington were complaining about their property taxes, which honestly are probably $5,000 to $6,000 versus my property tax at the time may have been about $1,500 maybe on that property. So it's very interesting because they were trying to bring me up to the level of that property, but my house was nowhere close to that value.
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of people and even some investors just go with the flow whenever they get the letters in the mail, and but you got to try to fight them, but you just can't call up and complain, or what have you. You got to have facts and data, and she's been through it enough. And it used to be you would actually go in there and face somebody. Now I think they want to do strictly Zoom, and so that's another little bend in it, but she can explain, her understanding. And I don't know, we've been doing it for 20 years, 30, I can't remember. And she's really the expert on that part of the business, not me. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, that's great stuff to know too, because I would have never known to fight that either. I mean, years ago. I mean, that's, you just take it, like you said, Jim. A lot of times we just get our bill and we might complain, but there's a process to actually, to where they'll listen to you, but you have to know the process and you have to know
Yes.
what you're looking for. And that's the beauty of being, having somebody so knowledgeable like your wife, like Pat, because she's been doing this for a long time, and she'll know a lot of the stuff that somebody new like me walking in the office might not know. So
Yeah.
that's really, this is very valuable meeting coming up here. So be sure to attend live on location if at all possible. Bring your notebook and an extra pen too, because I had a pen die on me the other day. So I've had that happen in a while. I don't use pens as much as I used to, but that's something to keep in mind. So thank you.
I'd be curious to know if people are still raising their rents substantially or not. We had a few of them that we have raised. They all come due around May, June, and July. That's how we typically do our rents. We mainly have single family homes, and we had a few of them that we've kept low for certain reasons, which I won't go into. But then we finally have raised them somewhat. And the problem is when you don't raise them for 4 or 5 years, and there was special circumstances why we didn't. Once you do that, then they think you're just a bad person for raising their rent. And we just had to tell them, hey, everything's gone up, and we could prove it easily. But we worked through it, and they realized that when they went out and started looking around, that they still had a pretty good deal. What we do is the old John Schaub idea of keeping the rents maybe just a little bit low, what everybody else has in the neighborhood. That way they don't want to pick up a move, because it costs you a lot more money if one moves on you than keeping them in there. So if let's just say hypothetically the rent's $1,500, we might charge $1,400. I understand sometimes when you're first starting out, you got to have it as high as possible to make the numbers work. But we've been in it long enough that I'd rather have them stay in there and eat $100 a month, compared to what I could get. Rather than moving out and me having to rehab a 30-year-old bathroom and a 40-year-old kitchen. It doesn't make sense. I'm still making more money because I'm keeping that $20,000 or $30,000 of rehab in my pocket, making interest or as a, whatever, versus spending it on a kitchen, Now that's our thoughts on it. Everybody may have a different idea on it, but that's what we're doing, and it seems to be working really good. We only had one couple move, and that was because they bought a house. And then we were able to jack up the rent to what the market was, and we didn't have anybody complain about it, But we did learn something there. I kind of got lazy and said that we could show it while they were still in there, and they kind of were in the process of moving, and they were good people, but things were kind of cluttered. And we couldn't get it rented, but as soon as they moved out, bingo, rented it the first day. So, a lot of people just can't visualize what a house looks like when things are totally straightened up, But we're sitting fine now. They're all rented. We're fine till the following year unless something drastic happens. And our philosophy is have them all come around May, June, and July. That way, if they got kiddies, they can move in, for the new school district and what have you.
I think that's a good point you had too about the rent. A lot of people, look for, you hear a lot about value add now with buying properties and things like that, but keeping your good paying renters, I think a lot of times, I know in our situation, have been key. And I know, one of the early rentals that Kim Kiyosaki had, she raised it $25, and it's such a good example, of and then the guy moved right away. Well, the place stayed empty for months, and just like you said right there, Jim, now you've got to get, you might have to do some rehab to update it. Then you a lot of times have inspections, and then you'll have the city will come out, then they'll find something you didn't count on, or there's something you didn't like. I mean, there's just all kinds of things. And even on a clean deal, I've had to spend sometimes $1,500, $2,000 to get somebody else in. Even if I raise the rent $100 or $200, how long does that take by the time you've done all that, plus your time and resources? And just my time alone, if it took me 2 days to do it, which is usually an understatement, that right there is huge. It can make all the difference. Dave, what are you finding? Dave Soto on the rents. Are you what's your thoughts on raising them and what's going on right now? Do you have anything you would like to say?
Yeah, so I believe when we had our presentation, I mentioned this, and that I understand that you're trying to keep a good tenant in place, but I also look at it, don't forget this is a business. And James, at some point they're going to move out, and I learned this the hard way. I did the same thing where I had one of my personal properties, the tenant was there for 13 years, and I kept the rent low. And after 13 years, I had to put thousands of dollars to get the place updated, not because they had damaged it, because it was 13 years of not having any updates. So that cost me a fortune. And I look at it as that I should have raised the rent because it's a business. So I would have those funds to repair it or to get it updated when it was done. Tenants do understand if there's a reason to raise the rent, that the rent's going to raise, everything else is raised, but it's a business. So you have to look at it in that way. So that's my personal opinion, that if you can still raise it and keep it under market rent, just under market rent, they're not going to be able to afford to move someplace else. It won't make any sense. So if they move someplace else, you're going to be paying market rent, and which could be substantially higher than what they're paying now. So that's just my opinion. Also, James, like you said, I just lost a pretty good client because I would not market the properties and show it when the tenant's still in there. I learned the hard way not to do that. That doesn't make sense. Couple of things, and I think I shared this before. I had one incident where we did do that and got a tenant lined up, and it happened to be a couple that was in the military. They're coming in from overseas, and his mom made the arrangements and found the place and looked at it, and she said, "Yeah, we'll take it." And then the existing tenant decided last minute that they weren't moving, and so here these people were coming in from out of the country. And I had no place for them to go. So that was a disaster. The other thing is I think, James, you referred to this, is that you can tell them, well, this is what we're going to do to the property before you move in to make it, to improve it. And what your concept of what that means and the tenant's concept of what that means could be two different things. And they're going to go, I thought you meant this. So that's why we don't market it until it is rent ready. Again, I lost a pretty good client because he was pretty upset that we would not put a for rent sign as soon as we got 30-day notice. But if
we have a pretty good record of showing the property while the exiting tenants are still there. We have it in our lease that we have the right to show the property 2 months before they are vacating the property. And all in all, we have not had too much problem with that because we don't want a month or two downtime. However, that being said, we have a couple right now that if they decide to move, they're so, I'll just say, dirty with pets and that, not damaging, but just dirty and pack stuff all over the place, that they're going to have to move out, and we got to repaint and everything beforehand. I'm not even going to try. But the one guy's been there 26 years, so he's paid for our house twice. Okay, so I'm not concerned about that. And we've got a few other ones where they've been there 6 to 10 years. Again, why worry about it? Wait till as long as you can keep on increasing the rent and they're going to stay there, just wait till they move out, and then you suck up and you lose 2 months rent when they move out. It takes you a month to clean it up and redo. So it's different in each case. But we had 2 instances where we did not raise the rent, and this, I'll just say briefly, it was a situation where there were deaths in the family, and I guess maybe we were just a little bleeding hearts on that, but we felt that we wanted them to stay in the property, raise the kids and maintain the family unit where they were, and we could afford it. So that's why we did it. But in general, I would agree with you. Keep on raising the rent. And that's the only reason we didn't, because the rest of them, we do raise the rent normally.
So the other issue we had with trying to show properties with tenant in place is that we had to schedule with the tenant, and if there was issues, we had to reschedule with the prospective tenant, and didn't mean they're going to keep the place clean, like you said, James. Doesn't mean they're going to clean the place for you so it looks nice. So it's just, that's our business decision if it's on the market. And I look at it this way, that if it's a quality property and the right rent, it's going to get rented, right? So you're not losing a whole lot. If they leave it in excellent condition, you can have a tenant in there in a week or two. If it's quality.
We usually do have tenants who would keep it in pretty good shape. Well, we got a few that are just dirty. I got two or three dogs and their dog hair all around. And yeah, I mean, it's quote livable for them, but it wouldn't be livable for the next person. So we just know that sooner or later, we're just going to have to not, once they move out, we got to do whatever, and we'll lose a month or two. But like I said, our average 6 to 10 years is not bad for most of our tenants. So it just depends. Once you're renting to them and you go in and you see it, and you can tell everybody's level of cleanliness and definition is different. We've had that too.
Right, absolutely.
We think one level is clean and what have you, and it looks good. Next person moves in. I had that once or twice, and I just go ahead. I said, just to keep peace, I said, well, how much would I pay you as a new tenant for you to clean it up? And they say, oh, $100. Okay, take $100. I'll pay you, and we're done. Why fight that? Even though it's, you win the battle, but you lose the war with the tenant. You don't want to do that. So those things just, it comes from years of experience dealing with people. And I always said one of the most important things when you're a landlord is really dealing with the people. It's just, how do you deal with the people? Because there's sometimes a very fine line between whether the conversation stays humane or goes south. And if it goes south, you lose the tenant's respect for you, and then who knows? But something we've learned over the years. But there's always that 2 or 3% that no matter what you say, they consider you the bad guy when you're just trying to be fair with people. If you don't have a tough grit, don't be a landlord, because or hire a property management firm.
And that's a
Sorry,
good
I think I
thing
got
too,
off on a
Jim.
tangent.
Hiring a property manager. David, would you like to tell us your contact information, so for anybody that might be looking for or potentially needs a property manager? I know it's a lot of times it makes all the difference too.
Yeah.
And Jim, you might be looking too, because you're moving. Aren't you moving to Florida sometime soon?
No, just periodically we go down there, but no, with our grandkids, John, we got to stay here, and my 2 grown kids are still like kids, and so no, we'll be around.
Okay. Yeah, David, would you like to share your contact information with us, please?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to refer you to Stacy. She's a business development manager. She's got the time and energy to address all the questions and get the contracts all set up. But our phone number is, and it doesn't matter, same phone, we're voice over IP, but the one that I know off the top of my head is 573-332-7686, and her extension is 311. So that's Stacy Lowe, and she couldn't be here today, otherwise I'd make her talk. So
thank you. And if you don't mind putting it in the chat for us also, sure, that'd be very helpful.
I should find the local number up there.
Oh, Mary put in there, she wanted to know the name of your business. It's Soto Property Solutions. Is that correct? That's what I thought. Okay. So there you go, Mary. All right, we're coming up on the hour. Did anybody else have anything they'd like to share with us today? I think we had some pretty good discussions. A lot of things to go over. I'll have the replay up I always say by midnight tonight, because I always make sure I get that done before I go to bed. Most of the time it's a little sooner, but I don't know. We've got some traveling to do here in a little while. But I'll have it up by midnight. But if anybody wants anything in the meantime, you can always feel free to reach out to me. And mark your calendars for the breakfast on the second Tuesday of the month. And then we also on the 20th this month, we'll have Pat Heisserer. She's going to tell us how to and show us how she reduces her taxes. So I know we all got them coming up. So keep that in mind. Mark your calendar. If for any reason you ever need to know any details or want to know more, you can always go to our website, which is STLREIA.com, STLREIA.com. So good talking to everybody.
Hey,
If
John, real quick, if I can just throw in a quick brag.
Yeah.
Yesterday marked our 15-year anniversary. We've been in business for 15 years. So that's
Nice.
pretty exciting.
Congratulations. That's great. That's great. All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say before we sign off today? No, it's good to see you all. And I appreciate you coming. And if nothing else, we'll see you again next week. All right.
Good day.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.